I guess one of the good things that's coming out of these horrendous Los Angeles fires is the community spirit that rises from the ashes. We've seen stories of people coming together, strangers becoming friends as they help, survivors helping other survivors, and those evacuees who are helping other evacuees. And this is no different. We are here at the Northridge United Methodist Center to witness such gathering. Joining us today is Janine, one of the organizers of this, what is this called? So it's a distribution or no, donation drop-offs. They sort out donations here as well. And then they dispatch deliveries to different evacuation areas, but they also do door-to-door for those who need it. So Janine, this is not the first day. You've been doing this for a while now. Tell us from the beginning of how you started this effort and how's it going?
So this is a grassroots effort. I think this was just initiated by some of like the local organizations here in the San Fernando Valley. My organization included, alongside Migrante San Fernando Valley and Puso San Fernando Valley and just some other community volunteers. We decided on immediately, like the morning after actually the fires broke out last week, we just called upon our community orgs to gather whatever, what little PPE materials we had. And we just started out at the North Hills United Methodist Church with maybe no more than 15 of us and 2 folding tables. And we just packaged whatever masks we had and did immediate distribution directly to people in workplaces or contacts that we already had. But what happened, it evolved into this like operation where now we're mobilizing hundreds of people at its peak to actually do not only donation and inventory and sorting, preparing packages of like different hygiene or meal kits or distributing PPE and other materials. We also do like direct distribution to evacuation centers or other organizations that need the items that are serving impacted communities. But we also do door-to-door knocking for people who don't know about resources or need access and education. And we check up on these communities as well. So we're doing work in like Silmar, in Panorama City, North Hills, San Fernando, and other places across the San Fernando Valley where there are high concentrations of marginalized people who need resources long before the fires and who are going to continue to need resources and community support long after.
When you talk about community support, that's what's happening here, as I mentioned earlier, because there's a lot of different smaller groups as well, grassroots, that have come together. And together your voice is obviously louder, your efforts are magnified.
More and more people started collaborating and networking and wanting to support each other's efforts.
Right.
And so that's also what helped evolve our operations, because it was different community organizations helping bottom line our operations.
Right.
But then because of the work we are doing, there was an influx of just community members who wanted to help because they were looking for places that were taking volunteers because they felt the need and urgency to serve their communities amidst the crisis.
Some of the bigger ones, some of the more well-established big nonprofit groups are starting to turn away donations or turn away volunteers. And so this is good that you have this as well. And what I like about what you're doing is you're servicing the marginalized community that are already affected with or without the fires. And as we know, when calamities and tragedies strike, they're the ones that are affected even more. Right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've been finding in our outreach efforts is that when we go to workplaces where people are doing like their service jobs, whether in food or grocery, etc., they're essential workers, in addition to like caregivers who are, a lot of these people we're outreaching to are also Filipino.
Right.
And so when we outreach to these essential workers, they would share stories about how they've been impacted.
Yeah, so what are some of those stories that you...
Yeah, some workers, some grocery store workers we met were actually, like they they're living in evacuation zones.
Okay.
In proximity to, like, say, like the Hearst fire. However, they still had to clock into work because at the end of the day, they still needed to ensure their livelihood. But then what's happening simultaneously is that their own safety is in danger. And this is actually a recurring theme in a lot of the stories of workers we're encountering. We have other contacts over in Pasadena where there are caregivers who provide like in-home service, and they were still working, throughout the week. But then what happened was that their homes actually burned down in Pasadena. And so they were still working, even though they didn't have a home to go back to. Other instances, we've met like Filipino caregivers who actually had to evacuate alongside their patients. And they were the ones like fronting the costs of like alternative housing, just to help support them and their patients.
Right.
But then because their patients are now evacuated, suddenly they're at a loss for work. Or there are other people whose actual workplaces have burned down and suddenly they're jobless.
Right. So there's really a wide range of impacted people by these fires. Some are directly affected, who've lost homes, who were evacuated, lost power, but some are like casualties around it where, their jobs or different things. And this is why it's important what you're doing. Go ahead and invite the viewers to come. If they have resources to donate, they can drop off their donations. Where will you be? I understand this is a traveling kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then also, what are the dates? What are the hours? And then for people who may not have anything to give, but they have their time, they can help sort out and volunteer. Go ahead.
For our viewers, we definitely still need support. We definitely appreciate the donations. I think we have items that are like definitely high needs of the community, such as like flashlights, power banks, batteries, are among like the highest need items that we just always need a fresh supply of because we run out so quickly. Because there are still communities who are experiencing power outages for days. Another thing that Janelle mentioned was actually that our headquarters for our distribution and outreach services keeps changing. There's a reason for that. It's because we just pop up wherever we can find a space.
Right.
And it's actually very unstable, and we have to take it on a day-to-day basis. And that actually makes it more difficult for us logistically because we have to pack up every day and then unpack and learn about the logistics of the new space, which also actually slows down our ability to service more people. And so we're also asking for support. If you are in the San Fernando Valley, especially on the east side of the San Fernando Valley, if you know of community spaces that we can use to help host us for maybe a slightly longer period of time rather than just a day, that would be really helpful, just because it can help increase our capacity to provide much needed and critical services to our community. But it can also be one major way you contribute to our relief efforts too.
And really, we want to build up a widespread movement of people's support in our communities to actually really respond to these needs. And we know that some of us never did this before. Some of us have different experience, different skills. Our goal is to bring together all kinds of people and organizations, bring whatever skills or knowledge or connections you have to the table and put it together so that we can actually collectively address this. We have people coming where all they can have to offer is a couple donations, and they say, I have a big car, you can use it.
Right.
We have worked with different churches who are offering space for us to operate at. That's a big one. We really need a venue. We've been moving location to location, but the more stable it is, the better. And so if you have any skills, or if you're even just excited to learn something, and you're excited to serve your community and really address these issues, you're welcome to come out, plug in, and we'll figure out how to work together. Another big thing is, of course, we have specific needs. So again, people have been without water, power, food, and also have been facing the toxic air quality. So pretty much every day we need masks, high quality masks. We need portable chargers, water, flashlights. And then oftentimes things that have been going quick are hygiene supplies, especially for those evicted or displaced by the evacuation. Baby supplies have been in need. I do want to highlight that there is such a wide range of organizations and individuals that have really been coming together around this and bringing together the tools and resources and helping us get to know other people who need to be reached and who need to be served. And our goal is, again, really ultimately that we want to empower the community to actually have the tools. And we do want to make it clear that we shouldn't have to do this. It should be the responsibility of the government, but also that the people do have the power to take matters into their hands and really support each other and really address our needs collectively.
We'll end on that note. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
What
much.
about you?
Appreciate it.
Ever since the efforts of our kababayans here in the San Fernando Valley area, we wanted to ensure that the Filipinos here that have been affected by the fires can be reached by the Filipino Migrant Center, because we do have a lot of resources that we can make available for them. And yeah, we just know it's a difficult time, so it's just important to reach Filipinos everywhere right now.
Right. And one of those resources is a program that you have called Emergency Services Fund.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we've always had the Emergency Services Fund. We've been fundraising for it actually. So we do have the means to actually support our kababayans really immediately in their immediate needs. Because we did find out from the Stop the Hate campaign that it kind of takes a while for government resources to actually come out and be received by the family. So we wanted to have this services fund so there is an immediate relief for them.
And what does that relief look like? Is it in the form of care packages? Is it in the form of financial support? What is it?
Yeah, so when community members fill out their emergency services fund, what they would be asked is what are their conditions and how they have been affected by the fires. And we're specifically looking for Filipino essential workers because we do know there's less resources specifically for them. And then we will hop on a call with them, see whatever they need. We do have some funds immediately available for them. So, but we want to do the intake just in case we can also help them out in filling out all those relief aid that different nonprofits and also different government offices are offering right now.
So we've been hearing about caregivers who are still, even though they've been evacuated themselves, are still being forced to work because then they don't want to lose their livelihood.
Yeah.
Or also caregivers who are forced to work in conditions where their lives are at risk because they're in fire hazard areas and stuff like that. Are those the kinds of people that you're looking for to help?
No, definitely. I think when we heard about the conditions of the caregivers, they're actually one of the first few people that we want to help out. We've actually received, I want to say, at least a few few community members who have applied for the services fund, who are caregivers, who have shared that either their workplace has been directly affected by the fires, or they are afraid to go to work because of still the conditions right now.
Right. And so when you're afraid to go to work, you can't go to work, or your workplace has burned down, and there's no livelihood.
Yeah, there's no livelihood.
And so Filipino Migrant Center, they're here to help. How do we get in touch with you?
Yes, so we are on Instagram at Filipino Migrant Center. And then we also have a website, and then we do have a hotline. Call our hotline, and then we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
For us, when the fire broke out, right? First was really just getting a message out, just saying we're there for our community, because it was just hitting in Palisades. We didn't know even about Altadena and the Eaton fire. So it was just crazy. And for me, I actually live here in the valley, so we did see the effects of the smoke, but really it was just showing the community, because we have such a large platform that we built. It's crazy to think about that when you combine both Facebook. I mean, Facebook, there's 115,000 members. The Facebook group. You look at our Instagram, we have over 300,000. So nearly 300,000 followers. So obviously, we're going to be a source for especially our kababayan who are being affected. So we want to push out whatever information. But the first step really was getting a message out saying we're there with you as we figure out any logistics that would happen behind the fire or anything that we can support. But as it spread, and then once the Eaton fire hit, that's where a lot of our kababayan live.
Filipinos, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's where we found a large population of Filipinos that actually live there. Had no idea, because when we think about Filipinos where they live, we think about Carson, Cerritos.
Long Beach, Eagle Rock.
Yeah, we don't-
but Eagle Rock is affected by the Eaton fire. Yeah.
Yeah, we think about Eagle Rock, but we didn't really think
West
about like
Covina,
Altadena.
yeah.
We didn't really think about the Eaton fire, and you know, one of the things that was spurred like amongst the community leaders, like we need somebody to lead the effort in collecting the names of the people who are being affected that have GoFundMe links. So we took that on,
Right.
and you know, the list has been growing. And we get we're now up to over 90 families that have been affected. And we probably get like another 2 to 3 each day.
You vet these GoFundMe stories as well. And what are some of the stories that are like heartbreaking that have really stood out for you?
One of the stories obviously is like, you know, somebody that just bought their home. They were pregnant, they just moved in, and now they're having to deal with this additional stress. That's what's really tough to hear. I mean, there's so many other different stories, because each individual story is so unique, but having to go through this additional stress, right, is just heartbreaking. I mean, you know, there's another family that's been highlighted, 2 kids with special needs. So, lost your home, special needs children, and having to deal with how to find the resources to live, you know, day by day. So it's just heartbreaking, because I know on Sunday, so this past Sunday when we started like really getting a big bulk of them, I had to take a break just for my own mental health, because it got me really emotional just seeing like how much of our own people were affected.
Right. And what I like about that is from these really sad, heartbreaking stories, or stories that make our hearts full, because on the other hand are stories of people who have maybe lost their homes and yet are still helping, volunteering.
You know, the word that always keeps on coming up, bayanihan, right? How our community is able to come together and help those in need. Regardless if we've been affected and we've lost our home, they still want to help. So it's just amazing to see how we're able to mobilize quickly and give people, you know, what they need. Obviously, you know, we love to cook, so there's a lot of food.
Or bake.
or bake. But there's a lot of people that have been like cooking food, and then now it's turned into like clothing and like essential needs for them. So, you know, it's just amazing to see the power of the Filipino community come together and support the communities in need.
I love that. We'll end on that very positive note. Thank you so much, Jason, and more power to you.
Thank you.